I've been working on a game on and off for the last couple months and thought I would share my progress with you guys. I think I'm the first person to do something like this. Anyways, the game is a sci-fi first-person shooter where the levels take place on top of skyscrapers. Just use your imagination a bit. Not only can you shoot arbitrary enemies, but you can also wall run and climb, making it just like every other game from the last 8 years. But the main gimmick is that you can't reload, so instead you need to steal loaded guns from enemies. And to make this more interesting, the player is able to pull distant weapons to themselves. You can also throw your gun back at an enemy, which will knock their weapon out of their hands, making it easier to grab. Or you could just punch them in the face. Although there are movement mechanics, I still want the game to be more combat based, rather than fly around the level at Mach 1 based. So I've spent a good chunk of time working on the AI, which is heavily inspired by Doom. A while back, I stumbled across a video made by AI in Games. In the video, he discussed in detail the AI toolchain that was used to produce the various demon behaviors. The biggest takeaway from the video was that it took the rage cover system and inverted it. Not like that, you fucking dumb. This system would find positions for the demons to move to so that they could be better seen by the player. Now you might be asking yourself, how does this inverse cover system designed for demons fit into this shit dumpster? Which is honestly a great question. In a game where you rely on stealing weapons from enemies, it would become frustrating if you needed a gun, but all the nearby enemies were behind cover. Although currently it's not an issue since you can pull guns through the wall, but that's not staying in. But essentially I think having a similar system will improve the flow of gameplay because the player is provided with more immediate options. So I created a basic tool that places down points on a nav mesh and wrote a script that constantly calculates points that 1 can see the player, 2 are not too close to other enemies, and 3 are not too close to the player. The AI then uses this system to position themselves on the closest valid point. This results in AI that aren't completely stupid, where they are able to flank around objects to remain visible, maintain spacing from other enemies, and keep a distance from the player. But they still do some weird things from time to time. I also spent a long time on the player controller and went through many iterations before I was finally happy with the way it felt. It still has some bugs that need to be worked out, like going around a 90-degree corner and whatever you call this. But it's good enough to start making levels. Currently there's only 3 test levels. Well, actually 4, but we don't like to talk about the first one. They all have a linear design because that's just what I like. It's probably because I have the attention span of a nickel, and I start to lose interest in a game if I have to wander around the level for more than 7 minutes. Although I did manage to play Hollow Knight for 2 hours before giving up. Now, there are a lot of different workflows and opinions from professional developers when it comes to designing a level, but what I personally like to do is just to put a whole bunch of random shit around the scene and see how it turns out. Now that's what I call level design. And I know I'm not supposed to have an opinion on the internet, but if you're able to look past the terrible graphics, janky animations, prominent bugs, lack of sound, and terrible gameplay, I gotta say it's pretty fun. Now let's talk graphics. I don't have them. If it wasn't already obvious, everything in the game is just a placeholder and will be changed eventually. I am working with a 3D artist because I'm not very good at modeling, and I'm also pretty bad at it too. But his name is Wills, and if you want to check out his art station, it'll be linked in the description. Hopefully we can start getting some more assets into the game soon because I'm tired of staring at my terrible models. Did I mention that I suck at modeling? So that about wraps up everything I wanted to talk about. I left out a lot of other details to make the video less boring than it already is, but make sure to tune into next week's video where I release the game in the early access before I completely abandon it.